This is Danielle over at DIYDanielle.com. Today we're going to talk about wool as an alternative to wood mulch in your garden. But before we get started, make sure to follow me, subscribe, and let's get started. Hey, this is Danielle over at DIYDanielle.com, and I wanted to go over really quick using wool as mulch in the garden. It is an alternative idea for mulching, and I think it's a great idea because it's organic, it uses wool from sheep, and a lot of times this wool would not catch the top price, particularly if it's not good quality wool. You can use wool directly in the garden if you have a local farmer that will sell you wool, and it already has a lot of organic particles in it. The purpose of wool as mulch is as a mulch. You've got to remember that this will break down over time, and the point is to cover up the soil where your plants aren't. You are not covering up the area where your plants are. So if I put this too close to my stems, just if I put it too close to anything like trees, like regular mulch, too close to trees, it can actually damage your plants. So the idea is you want to keep some space around it. And the one issue with wool that I've found is that it can tend to get moved around a little, and if you're not careful, it'll get too close to your plants and it will unalive your plants. So you can see some of this is my fault too, probably, because I was very excited. And I started throwing it out here, and I don't know that I kept it far enough away in some spots. It does tend to be a little heavier than you might think, so it's not super fluffy and blowing around, but you can notice that there's not a lot of weeds growing through. And if I remove the mulch like this, I think I might have killed because I got too close. When I move the wool to the side, you'll notice that there's no weeds growing here. And the soil's actually got a lot of moisture in it. It's not dried out like the areas that don't have now this is fairly wet still because we've had a lot of rain, but this is a lot drier regardless. And so I've got a plant growing here. And again, I want to just pull this back a little bit just to make sure it's not going to kill any of my plants. And again, here as well, I've got this probably a little too close. But you can see there's not weed growth. You can see that the moisture is staying in the soil and it is preventing weeds from coming through. I'm also not seeing a lot of pests here, which I'm really liking the look of. Some of my wool is a good quality wool. It's from my sheep. The cost of me sending it out and getting it processed is really high, and I don't want to. But you'll see if you have gaps, the weeds will grow through. But I also can pull this back and I see nothing's growing here. That is exactly what I want to be seeing. Now it'd be very easy for me to do rows. If I did row gardening where I just had rows and rows of different vegetables and plants, I could easily put this down in the rows. It's easy to walk over. You're not likely to trip over it, and it works. There you go. See that? Look how lovely that is. And now this will eventually compost down, but it will take time to compost. So you will have the use of it for a period of time. I would assume it'll last a little longer than wood chips. It won't compost down as quickly as wood chips, but I could be wrong. Now some stuff's very, like this still came through. It's one of my more invasive, difficult weeds to control, to be honest. Put that up there for the chickens. But you can see it's doing a pretty good job, especially in areas where it's thicker. And I didn't go too thin. Some of this. Trying to think which ones are actual weeds and what's not. I really need to add more in here, but I've got it around my broccoli. If you do it strategically and you're smart about it, theoretically, you should create a little zone around so that you have a clear spot for your vegetable or fruit or wherever you have planted. I don't think we're likely to see, I could be wrong, I don't know that we're likely to see slugs going over this. So if I see some, I'll let you know. I'll try to update this. But so far I've had pretty good luck. And again, first year trying this. I really like it. It's easy to work with. It's lightweight. So I'm not hauling around heavy bags of mulch. Instead, I'm hauling around heavy bags of wool. But if it's dry wool, it doesn't get particularly heavy compared to mulch bags. So yeah, that's my words of wisdom for the day. Hope this was helpful to someone because I wish I'd heard about this earlier. I really like using it. And again, it's a great way to support local farmers. I think from what I've seen, waste wool usually goes for about $10 a bag. And I won't say that you get as much coverage as you would if you spent $10 on wood chips, although it depends on how deep you're going with the wood chips. but I do find it a little easier to work with, and it's organic and it supports farmers. Seems just like a good fit overall. Hope that was helpful. Thanks so much. Have a great day.